Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats.
You know, it's no secret that the music industry is a cutthroat business, but I don't think we'd ever see it quite so literally. And if you're within the sound of my voice, that must mean you are in the seats with once more. As always, my name is Dave Voigt, and I'm the host of this podcast, where we sit down with a wide-ranging variety of industry professionals and we pick their brain about current projects, state of the industry, how they got started, and so very much more in a light and in a conversational fashion. And if you like how we do things around here, I'm going to go out on a limb and assume that you do because you're listening right now. You can subscribe. You can give us the old 5-star rating, the like and subscribe. Basically, wherever you find your podcasts. We're at Apple, Amazon, Spotify, Google. It's pretty much all good. We're covered across the board at all your favorite providers. And plus, we archive every single one of our episodes over at our In the Seats YouTube channel. So if you can give us a like and subscribe there as well, we would absolutely appreciate it. Also, don't hesitate to check us out on social media. You can find us on Facebook, on Twitter, and on Instagram at, you guessed it, at In the Seats, for all sorts of fun updates. And finally, and I do dare say most importantly, please pay us a visit over at In the Seats, intheseats.ca, for all the latest and greatest from the world of film, television, basically the moving image at large. Because if we love to write about it and talk about it, we love it when you come by and read about it and listen about it. So please pay us a visit. On this episode, we got a fun one. It's a film that's coming out to video-on-demand platforms this coming Friday, May 20th. It's called Torn Hearts. And we had the fantastic pleasure of sitting down and talking with Brea Grant, the director of the film. And in case you're wondering what Torn Hearts is all about, it follows a country music duo who they're on the brink of stardom, and they seek out the private mansion of their idol, and well, let's just say things end up getting a little twisted, and they find out how far they really would have to go to sort of to make their dreams of music stardom come true. It stars Katey Sagal. It's a hell of a ride. I mean, it's like I said, I'm stumbling a bit, but I mean, it says that it's one of those things where I'm kind of surprised a movie like this hadn't happened sooner, because it plays into the tropes of just fame and what you would do for fame, and especially surrounding it by the music industry. And Katey Sagal, in what I believe is her first horror movie, really does a fantastic job. And this is a fun one to check out. Like I said, do check out Torn Hearts this coming Friday the 20th on all of your favorite video-on-demand platforms. If you want a horror movie with a little bit of a twist, a little bit of a heart, a little bit of something where you actually get into the characters and sort of feel for them as they're quite literally tearing each other apart. And it's a hell of a ride. And like I said, we had the distinct pleasure of sitting down and talking with Brea Grant, the director of the film, who's done a lot of other great stuff, like 12-Hour Shift and well, that just to name a few. But she's really a star on the rise and is doing sort of great work across the board, not just in front of the camera, but behind the camera as well, as a writer and as a director. But check out Torn Hearts, which is on video on demand this coming Friday, and enjoy our talk with Brea Grant, because it's a good one.
Well, obviously, first off, just congratulations on the movie. I mean, I really loved it. I mean, we all know the old joke of the music industry being cutthroat, but I can't remember the last time a movie actually kind of leaned into it.
Cutthroats.
That's right. Yeah. Walk me through sort of the origin of you getting the script and sort of seeing the story for the first time.
Yeah. I mean, so I'd had a meeting with Blumhouse after they saw my last movie, which was 12-Hour Shift. And I had expressed interest in obviously working with them. I'm a big fan of everything they do, but also just in making movies about complicated women. I like Southern stuff. I like things that are fun, that lean into sort of like the fun, like a fun Southern romp. And they sent me the script and I was like, okay, yeah, this is exactly what I would like to do. It was really out of the box. It was not what I was expecting. Rachel, who wrote it, crafted a really bizarre story. And I was like, yeah, I think this could be a really good time for me. And then I went to New Orleans and shot it.
Well, that's awesome. I mean, I guess my next question is walking me through the casting process, because I mean, obviously you can't cast people. You have to cast people who can carry a tune, right? So
Yeah, well, I didn't have to. I could have dubbed. I could have done a lot of things, but that was important to me. And I was really scared I was shooting myself in the foot when I decided to do that, because I was like, how many people are we going to get that can sing and act? And it was an embarrassment of riches. Like, there are so many actors who can sing really well. I cannot. And so it was like shocking to me that there were all these people who could who sent in acting, their tapes of acting, and then also they would sing. And I'm like, how? That's amazing. Alexis, I was familiar with her work because she was in a movie called The Half of It, which played at Tribeca 2020, where my last film premiered as well. And they kept beating us for awards. And so I eventually watched the movie and I was like, oh, that's a cool, this woman's very good. And then she sent in a tape and I was like, oh, I love her. And then she started singing, and she's not a professional singer. She just is really good. Like, that's her voice. That I never mess with her voice. That's 100% her voice. And she's just really great. And then Abby also sent in a tape, and she could play guitar, and she plays guitar really well. And she has a bunch of songs that she's done. And she has some stuff. I looked her up and like found some other songs she had done, and she was really amazing as well. So I felt just very fortunate that I ended up with these two that had such a great dynamic, were great actresses, and could sing. And then Katey was on my list from the beginning because she could sing. She had the gravitas for the role. Like, she's kind of a badass. Like, she's
Right.
cool. And we've seen her do everything. I mean, like,
Yeah.
we've seen her do comedy, we've seen her do drama, but we hadn't seen her do horror, which was exciting to me. And it was just, we took a shot in the dark to see if she'd be interested in coming to do, a little horror movie in New Orleans. And she was, and she read the script and she was like, yeah, I think I could do this lady. And she had a lot of questions about her. She loves to get into a character's head. And then she came down, and, everyone on set was very intimidated by her, but she was really nice to everyone.
Now, I mean, I have to ask about the house. Like, did you find it? Did you design it? Because, I mean, it was that sort of perfect blend of country, but macabre and a house of horrors all at the same time.
Oh, good. Yeah. No, it's two houses put together. Plus, we built the basement and everything down there. I don't want to spoil anything.
I hope you built the basement.
Well, weirdly, one of those houses had a basement. And so I was like, do we just use this basement? But it was too small. I mean, and we shot in New Orleans, where there's not a lot of basements, I think, because of flooding. So there wouldn't be a basement or anything like that down there. But yeah, so the houses were, I mean, New Orleans has these old spooky houses. There were a lot of things that we did to it. My productions designer, we painted and made sure it looked aged, and like we used these very specific, this color palette that kind of made it look both feminine but macabre at the same time. And then we put a bunch of junk in it, a bunch of very specific weird junk inside of it. And I think it ended up really working and all kind of looking like the same house, which was great.
Well, I mean, and something like this, I mean, it's so interesting when you're crafting something that's menacing, but it's also kind of fun at the same time. I mean, how do you kind of walk that line, not just from a visual standpoint, but from like a character and like a story standpoint as well?
I mean, I think that's my goal in life. That's my line. That's the line I enjoy walking. I think my favorite things to make are things that are, you're going to kind of, I wouldn't call them horror comedy by any stretch of the imagination. I think they are horror or thriller that have some sort of like fun, light elements or comedic elements to it. I like my characters to be funny and interesting. People that I would be like, what I would be saying in that same situation, like a little bit of heightened world, a little bit of Coen Brothers, but also a genre movie. That's my favorite kind of stuff to watch. It's my favorite kind of stuff to make.
Well, and I mean, I'm always fascinated with the stuff that you get to make, because I mean, you're an actor, you're a writer, you're a director, but you're not necessarily precious about directing the stuff that you write or vice versa. How important is it for you to try to be, I guess, stay versatile in this business? Because I mean, you could label yourself as I just want to do my own stuff and be the auteur, but you're working and you're doing really good work sort of all across the board.
Thanks. I mean, I think because I come from this is a good question, but I think because I come from an acting background, I entered the industry collaborating with people on sets. That's where actors like my entry into the industry was showing up on a set and collaborating with people and helping to make their visions come to life. The longer I was in it, the more I realized I wanted to also be involved from a much earlier place, but also have visions of my own. But I think I still retain a lot of that, where I don't want to be precious. I want to be able to do what I think is cool and interesting. And that could be that I want to write a script that is this specific subject I want to tackle, or that I want to make someone else's script, like Rachel's script. Just, I think it really spoke to me. And so I was like, yeah, this is a script that I think that I could make, put my stamp on while trying to keep her voice in there as well. I think it's just, I come from such a collaborative background. It just wouldn't even make sense to me to be a person who would only write and direct my own things.
Does that sense of collaboration, is that basically for you, like what drives you to even a subject? Because I look at I like Lucky, the last time we got to talk. I love that film, and you wrote it and you were the star, and you had such a great performance. Like, I'm kind of curious, when you're doing stuff, it doesn't feel like you'll ever get to be a day player. Like you need to be sort of invested. You know what I mean?
I was a day player though for many years, so I think I know that world. I think at this point I'm quite fortunate that I get to pick and choose what I'm doing, would it be hard for me to just do a script for hire, that I just pass off to someone and never look at again? I don't think that's necessarily something I would I don't think people would even think to call me for that, honestly. I think I'm much more of a person who they want me to come in because I have like a brand and a thing I do and something that I can bring to the project. It's not like I'm just some random writer or something you would assign something.
Now, I will fully admit I am obviously a fan of your brand, as it were, but I'm kind of curious going forward. How do you see your brand expanding?
I can't believe I used the word brand, and now I said brand, and now we have to talk about it. I'm so sorry. I know, I'm so embarrassed. How do I see my brand going? I think at this point I am committed to staying on this side of the camera.
Okay.
I say that, of course, like next month you're going to be like, why is she shooting a movie? Well, I won't even say who, but there's some things that I might go do with friends.
Right.
Or, if Natasha calls me, I'll come do her movie. But I think for the most part, I am, I feel like my place is much more on this side. I feel much more inspired by writing or directing at this point.
Well, you know what, Miss Grant, keep doing the good work and keep staying on that side of the aisle. And just thank you so much for the time today. Again, congrats on the film. I really enjoyed it.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for watching it.
And don't forget to visit our friends over at Bay Street Video for all your DVD, Blu-ray rental, or purchasing needs this summer, as they are still open for curbside and some mailing delivery as well. Over at 1172 Bay Street, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, you can give them a call at 416-964-9088. That's 416-964-9088. Or send them an email at baystreetvideoto@gmail.com for any of your DVD and Blu-ray needs.